William MacAskill, Doing Good Better, How Effective Altruism Can Help You Make a Difference. Navigate the overwhelming world of charitable giving with the insights from Doing Good Better, How Effective Altruism Can Help You Make a Difference by William MacAskill. This summary provides a blueprint for making well-informed choices that maximize the impact of your donations. Learn to prioritize through the lens of Dr. James Orbinski's experience during the Rwandan genocide. Grasp the law of diminishing returns in charitable giving and how it applies to disaster relief. Assess the counterfactual and find unconventional ways to make a difference. Finally, gain a new perspective on charitable donations by examining overhead costs and misconceptions about sweatshops and Fairtrade goods.
Maximizing charitable impact. To make the most of your charitable giving, consider the number of people who will benefit and by how much. Prioritizing donations based on their potential impact, like Dr. James Orbinski did during the Rwandan genocide, can save more lives. Calculate expected value by considering an outcome's value and probability, which can guide you in making more effective decisions for charitable deeds, even in cases where the chance of success is slim. Giving to charity can be overwhelming due to the numerous causes and ways to help. The key to effective giving is considering how many people will benefit from your donation and by how much. After all, resources are limited, and choosing one cause means others might lose out. Therefore, aim to maximize the impact of your donation. Dr. James Orbinski's experience during the Rwandan genocide was a prime example of this approach. Overwhelmed by the number of patients needing care, he identified priorities by labeling them 1, 2, or 3, according to the urgency of their situation. This numbering system enabled him to save more lives by using his limited time and resources effectively, despite facing the heartbreaking reality of leaving some behind. In cases when a charitable act has the potential for massive impact, even with a slim chance of success, it's important to consider the expected value. To calculate the expected value, multiply the value of an outcome by its probability. For example, if there's a 50% chance that your donation will save 3,000 lives, the expected value is 1,500 lives. Had the planners at the Fukushima power plant applied the concept of expected value, they might have avoided the devastating disaster of 2011. Though the probability of catastrophe was low, they neglected the enormous potential damage. Consequently, approximately 1,600 people died due to the accident. In conclusion, to maximize your charitable impact, prioritize donations based on their potential benefits and calculate expected value by considering an outcome's value and probability. This approach will help you make more informed decisions, leading to a greater difference in the world. The impact of charitable giving. Charitable organizations, such as disaster relief funds, may seem like they constantly need support. However, donations to these organizations are subject to the law of diminishing returns, where each additional dollar makes less of a difference. Contrary to popular belief, disaster relief is often overfunded, and donations can be better spent on underfunded, poverty-related causes to make a more substantial impact. Although it appears reasonable to think that disaster relief funds need ongoing donations, the actual impact of additional contributions lessens with time due to the law of diminishing returns. When considering the law, it becomes apparent that excess funds contribute relatively less to an established cause. Think of it this way: when someone without a sweater receives one, it can significantly improve their well-being and be potentially life-saving. However, when an individual already owns a few sweaters, receiving another might address a minor comfort issue but ultimately lacks the power to change their life drastically. A similar principle applies to charitable donations. When a cause is already overfunded, each new dollar donated results in diminishing benefits. As an example, disaster relief efforts are well publicized and attract numerous contributions, often leading to overfunded causes. In Japan's 2011 earthquake aftermath, aid organizations received $330,000 for each person that lost their life. The significant attention may create an illusion of constant need, but these numbers show that donations might yield minimal additional value. In contrast, ongoing poverty-related causes see comparatively less funding. Aid organizations receive only $15,000 for every poverty-related death, indicating that contributions could yield a more significant benefit there. By directing donations toward underfunded causes like combating malaria, the impact of each dollar given increases exponentially, and its potential for creating life-saving change becomes substantially higher. Maximizing your impact. When considering ways to make a difference, it's essential to think about the alternative outcomes, or what would have happened otherwise. This concept, called assessing the counterfactual, helps gauge the true impact of your actions. Developing skills that allow you to make the most significant impact possible is crucial. In some cases, the best way for you to contribute may be to pursue a high-income career that suits your abilities, enabling you to donate substantial funds to worthy causes. This strategy, called earning to give, can often make more of a difference than direct action. We often believe that dedicating our time and energy to good causes, such as building schools and hospitals in developing countries, is the best way to contribute. However, it's vital to consider how effective our efforts truly are by pondering the alternative outcomes. Assessing the counterfactual, or what would have transpired if we hadn't intervened, can reveal surprising conclusions. For example, if your lack of expertise in construction inadvertently causes more harm than good while trying to build a school, your presence might not be as beneficial as you thought. In situations like this, a local builder could carry out the work more efficiently with donated funds, thereby bolstering the community's economy. When choosing your career path, ask yourself whether someone else could execute the job more effectively. If the answer is affirmative, it might be wiser to follow a lucrative career tailored to your strengths, potentially as a banker or stockbroker. This approach will allow you to earn to give, substituting direct action with substantial monetary contributions. By focusing on maximizing your impact, you ensure that your efforts have the most significant and lasting positive effects possible. In the next segment, we'll delve further into earning to give and explore its potential applications in real-world scenarios. Impactful career choices. Discover how to maximize your positive impact on the world through the choices you make in your career. Consider earning to give by opting for high-paying jobs that allow for generous charitable donations, rather than seeking direct impact through roles at NGOs. Shift your focus from following your passion to finding a personal fit that offers steady income, independence, variety, and a sense of completion. Remember, interests evolve over time, and only a few individuals can secure a stable living in competitive fields, such as music or sports. Choosing a career with high earning potential can foster world-changing results by providing ample opportunities to generously support effective charities. For instance, working as an oncology specialist could lead to meaningful donations, while directly impacting lives in an NGO role might not leave a lasting legacy. When pondering career options, prioritize finding the perfect personal fit over chasing passions. Aim for a role that assures long-term, stable income, and leaves room for regular contributions to charitable causes. Keep in mind that passions change, and opportunities in highly competitive fields can be limited. Instead, seek roles that provide independence, variety, and a sense of completion, such as carpentry, which yields tangible, finished products. Rethinking charity evaluations. Evaluating a charity solely based on its overhead costs can be misleading. What truly matters is the charity's impact, as it determines whether the organization deserves our donations. A charity with high overhead might have higher expenses to make a significant change, like Development Media International, DMI, which runs a $1.5 million media campaign promoting health education. This approach effectively saves lives in developing countries by educating people to practice better hygiene. Thus, the value a charity brings should be our primary consideration when donating, instead of focusing exclusively on overhead costs. When choosing a charity to support, many people examine overhead costs, such as executive pay, thinking it reflects how well resources are allocated to the needy. Popular charity assessor Charity Navigator ranks charities based on the percentage of total donations directed to their main programs. However, this method doesn't accurately show a charity's real impact. If you ran a charity providing caviar to hungry bankers, with only 0.1% of donations spent on overhead costs, organizations like Charity Navigator would give it a high ranking. But is this charitable cause really worth supporting? Instead of fixating on overhead costs, focus on the difference a charity can make. DMI, for example, spends 44% of donations on overhead but uses the funds to promote crucial health education campaigns. This can prevent deaths in developing countries from easily avoidable causes such as diarrhea by improving hygiene practices. Charities like DMI with high overhead can still be highly beneficial and worth supporting. Debunking Sweatshop and Fairtrade myths. Sweatshops, often vilified, provide a lifeline to the poorest individuals who lack better alternatives. Fairtrade, while well-intentioned, tends to benefit richer countries while failing to reach the most impoverished ones. Understanding the true impact of these practices helps us make informed decisions when it comes to charitable consumption. Sweatshops, despite their negative connotation, can offer a vital source of income to those living in extreme poverty. When considering the alternatives, the harsh and low-paying work in a sweatshop is often more appealing than backbreaking labor required in unyielding fields under the blazing sun. Take, for instance, the Bolivians who migrate to Brazil, despite the risks of deportation, to work in sweatshops. They earn significantly more, averaging $2,000 annually, compared to the mere $600 earned in agriculture or mining back in Bolivia. On the other hand, it's important to evaluate the real impact of fair trade goods. With an image of helping producers earn a sustainable wage, fair trade seems like a commendable endeavor. It guarantees, for example, $1.40 per pound of coffee, providing a reliable source of income for growers. However, most impoverished countries, the ones that would benefit the most from fair trade, are unable to meet the stringent standards set by the organization. Consequently, they receive no help. Instead, the majority of fair trade coffee comes from wealthier countries like Mexico and Costa Rica. Countries that genuinely need the extra income, such as Ethiopia, are often left out. Furthermore, only a tiny fraction of the premium paid for fair trade products reaches the producers. As per the World Bank's economic consultant, Dr. Peter Griffiths, this amounts to a mere 1% of the added cost. When deciding how to contribute charitably through consumption, it's crucial to be aware of the actual impact our choices make. Recognizing and assessing the practical results of practices like sweatshop labor and fair trade may lead us to make better informed decisions when it comes to helping those in need.
In conclusion, Doing Good Better offers valuable guidance to make the most significant impact with your charitable efforts. Through prioritizing your donations, assessing the counterfactual, and being aware of the law of diminishing returns, you can ensure your contributions make a real difference. Reconsider your views on overhead costs, sweatshops, and fair trade goods to make informed giving choices. This book summary empowers you with the necessary tools to confidently make decisions that align with your mission, leaving a lasting and meaningful impact on the world.